It's Wednesday night, and that means it's time for the Lamar Thomas Show, featuring the greatest receiver in the history of college football. Just ask them, Lamar Thomas.
I was born in Ocala, Florida. I moved to Gainesville to go to high school. Been recruited probably since the 9th grade, illegally, I might add, by the University of Florida. I still can remember Coach Solinger, Don Solinger, coming out to our practice one day. Here it is, this guy comes out in the University of Miami jacket, and I said, I can't believe that's Miami out here. And, you know, I wanted to go up and say, hey, I'm Lamar Thomas. And actually, I did walk up to him and I said, hey, Coach, I'm Lamar Thomas. And he said, I know. And that was the start of my relationships with the University of Miami.
Another good block, and Toretto lays it out. Touchdown, Miami.
You come down here, you'll be on TV every weekend, dominating. I thought about it. I said, man, where do I sign? My mom, on Saturday mornings, I would wake up and she'd be holding my hand. I thought she was the weirdest lady in the world. But she was holding my hands and she would be rubbing them and saying, one day these hands are gonna make you a lot of money. She was smart.
So now, here he is, the great one, along with co-host Gary Ferman of CaneSport.com, Lamar Thomas.
What's going on, LT?
We're winners. We're winners.
You made it back from Tampa. That was an accomplishment.
Yeah, that was wild and crazy, and I mean that drive back was, I got to tell you, I was still on a high from watching that 50-piece extra spicy put on those USF cows or bulls. I'm sorry, those guys were talking so much trash. Wow, great game by the Hurricanes.
It was a nice little atmosphere up there, and yeah, it absolutely was a great game by the Hurricanes, and we'll be talking about that quite a bit tonight. We want to welcome everybody in for another week of the Lamar Thomas Show, presented as always by Caneswear, your ultimate destination for all your fan gear. You see the store behind myself, Lamar. He's live and in person tonight at Caneswear. Got himself his mug working, and what else you got there? Glasses.
Man, I got so much stuff.
They literally have everything at Caneswear. If you have not been to Caneswear, you must make it a point to get over there. They're at 2655 South University Drive in Davie, about 15 minutes north of Hard Rock Stadium. So if you live in South Florida, you can go by Caneswear on your way to the game. And they've got everything. I mean, we'll talk more about it later in the show, but there's nothing you could want. I mean, all you got to do is just look around at these pictures behind, Lamar, and the store behind them. I mean, the picture behind myself, the store behind Lamar. They have everything: flags, cups, jackets, T-shirts,
coolers, everything you want. Yeah. Shades. I mean, it's all stickers. I mean, everything in here for the Canes. You can't go wrong coming in here shopping. I tell you that. You'll spend some money too. Good money though.
So great pit stop on your way to the stadium. Like I said, 15 minutes north. And did they feed you tonight, Lamar?
Oh yeah.
Right,
Here's
if they fed you, I'm going to give them a plug.
Bam! There it is.
Okay,
ham
listen.
And cheese.
Best sub shop in South Florida, bar none. So you go to Caneswear, and then you don't even have to prepare your food for your tailgate. You can just go to La Spada and get yourself some subs and take them with you to the stadium, and You'll be all hooked up. So 2655 South University Drive in Davie. If you're not in South Florida, you don't come into town for the game, you can check them out at caneswear.com at any time of the day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. So make sure that you do that. All right, LT. So you made it to Tampa. You made it back from Tampa.
It was a long day, Gary. It was wait. I'll be remiss if I don't mention how long the day was. It started off. I had to go gymnastics. My daughter Blake. It was her first meet, and I talked to my wife. I said, "Look, I will go to the first meet. There was a 9 o'clock, 2 o'clock, and 4 o'clock. Logan had one, and then Parker had one. So I went to Blake's. It was her first meet. She finished second overall. I was excited. Ooh. I said, way to go, Blake. There you go. Let's get on the road. I knew it was going to be a great day. And, man, the Hurricanes didn't disappoint. Let me tell you. It was a great atmosphere, like you said, except for the crap talking of the USF Bulls or Cal Bulls or what. I don't even know what they are. But they talk crap from the time I left the car into the stadium. The first half, they talk noise. And then the second half, I don't know where the hell they went.
Well, I see in myself, we took your advice. I went to the IMG football game over there in Bradenton. So we kept him away from Dale Mabry. And I went to Burns and had dinner at Burns with a bunch of Canes fans, man. We had so many Canes fans in the bar over there at Burns on Friday night, and it was a lot of fun and got to see, a bunch of people.
Question for you, Garrett. Do you still have to wear a blazer in Burns?
No.
Okay. Yeah. It used to. You used to have to wear a blazer in there, and it was. Yeah. Okay.
I mean, they don't. I don't think they'd let you in shorts, but Burns is still great, and it was fun getting back there. We don't get to Tampa too often anymore. So stayed away from Dale Mabry. Thank goodness, and except going to the game, of course. And man, that I'm crazy because I'm a little bit of a masochist right now because I wanted Miami to get challenged. I really did. I'm tired of the blowout, easy games. I don't think that's I think we talked about it on last week's show. It's not getting us ready for anything. And I loved that South Florida came with a really nice game plan, and they were able to get some things done in the first half. Miami helped them a little bit in a couple different ways, but we actually trailed twice in the first half of that game. And that forced those kids to buckle up and respond. And man, did they. The scoring drive before the half, and then, of course, the dominant second half, the defense pitching a shutout in the second half. Jordan Lyles, 90-yard run. There was just so much to feel good about leaving Tampa. But let's start with my first point. Lamar, I mean, you obviously played a ton of sports, had different experiences. But how important, am I onto something here when I say that it is important that this football team, as good as it is, gets challenged to prepare itself for the games down the road that we know are coming that aren't all going to be easy?
Well, again, Gary, I've said this before. I love the way the schedule is set up. I think that we've had games where it's getting tougher. I like where South Florida was on our schedule, because it gave us that first half where, I mean, these guys threw out everything they could. They tried their best. They scored on a trick play. We did some things that we hadn't done. It was kind of sloppy a little bit. We had some penalties, and I blame a little bit on the refs too. But it was a different environment. And these guys, once they went in at halftime, that field goal being missed at right before half, I think was the nail in the coffin. Whatever little momentum they had, once they went in at halftime and the fiery speeches were given, and those guys came out the second half and they put that foot down. But I love the way this schedule is set up, and you're on to something, Gary, because if it doesn't get tougher, we won't be able to, if we make it that far, which we should, we won't be able to handle the bigger teams, the better teams. But I love the way the schedule is set up. As it goes along, it is going to get tougher, and injuries and things happen from each team, and I think that's where our depth will show. Years before, we were very, very worried if a starter got hurt, but we got positions that are 2, 3, 4 deep, and guys are playing well. The guy behind you put a freshman in. He's getting, he's doing this deal, putting the pressure on those guys that are starting. So I love that these guys have gotten some playing time. We were able to go into USF into Tampa and pull out a victory, running away from them. Tough first half. They did some things that we talked about the way USF offense was as far as them. No huddle. I mean, fast pace, changing the pace. It was crazy to watch because we had to make adjustments. And that was the thing that we talked about, Gary, the lack of adjustments that we were able to make last year and years before. And I was as I was watching that, I was like, okay, we're on to something because these guys made the adjustments. And actually, USF's offense became the problem for them, because their guys were tired. They were tired, and their defense was tired because once they started going 3 and outs, it was a bad deal because now their defense had to be on the field. And you see what happened with Jordan Lyle, that long run. I mean, it became a problem for them. Their strength became their problem at the end of the game.
All right, so you talked about the depth, and depth is a big deal for this team this year. We're seeing it in layers at pretty much every position. A little light in a couple still, Zaquan Patterson, I think, still learning at safety. So, maybe we're not as deep at safety as we'd like to be. Cornerback probably, but in most areas of this team, the depth is there, and no more so than at the running back position and the wide receiver position. And it's funny, we've been having arguments over on the CaneSport.com message boards, and I'm like pounding the table saying, guys, like, stop fighting about who's the best receiver or who's 1, 2, 3, 4, who's the best running back, 1, 2, 3, 4. Why do we have to number them? It's like every game, as soon as the guy gets an opportunity, he's showing out. Whether it's AJ Allen or Jordan Lyle, you wouldn't put them 1 or 2. They're playing as well as anybody.
Yeah. I think Jordan Lyle is our leading rusher.
I mean, Damian Martinez is 1,000-yard rusher and averaged 6 yards a carry in the Pac-12. He hasn't even gotten untracked yet. I mean, he had a nice play in the passing game the other day. I think went for 36 yards. But we're going to see some good days from Damian Martinez before this season's over. And I'm just pounding the table. Why do we have to rank them? This is not a year where we have to rank them. We don't have to have a depth chart at every position in this 2024 season because of the job that Mario Cristobal and his staff have done putting this roster together, and with the quality and the depth that it has. Now, that has a flip side, and I thought I saw a flip side. You tell me, you were on the field for the game, right?
Yes, I was.
Okay.
We're 4-0. Right. We're 4-0 with me on the field. Just remember that.
Yeah. So, this is what I thought I saw, and I never got around to asking about it because of everything that went on in the game. But I saw Miami come out of the tunnel, and I saw Mark Fletcher do a sharp right and go in front of the South Florida players and bench and was doing, old school Miami level taunting. Okay. And then he had a penalty in the first quarter, and I'm not sure he touched the field after that. And Mark Fletcher's a great kid. I'm definitely not knocking Mark Fletcher, but that's not what Mario's looking for with this team. He's looking for guys to be a little more solid than that. And he doesn't want the selfish penalties. And they talked about it at halftime and stuff, but I'm not sure Mark Fletcher played at all in this. I'd have to go back and double check the play-by-play. He only had, I think, 3 carries. He had 3 carries in the game from what I recall. I'm going to double check that right now. I'm pretty sure it was 3. And other guys, he had 3 carries for 5 yards in that game the other day. And Damian Martinez got 11, had 34 yards. A.J. Allen got 3 for 9. And Jordan Lau got 6 for 104 because of the 91-yard run. But when you have depth like this, you don't have a margin to do things that are going to get under the coach's skin. You don't have a margin for personal foul penalties and things like that. And because there's other guys that deserve to play. I mean, who deserves to play more than A.J. Allen? I mean, coming off of the Ball State game, I mean, he absolutely deserved to be out there. And he's barely getting the play. He only had 3 carries in the game. They only rushed the ball. If you take Cam Ward's 5 out of the table, they only had 24 running plays in that game the other day. To go with 34 passing plays, they only had 68 plays in the game. That's not a lot. And there's a lot of guys that need footballs that aren't getting them. LT. So go ahead.
I think for a lot of these guys, and we talked about this on the previous shows, as far as that coaching staff and everybody that Mario has in that building has to do a good job, a great job of keeping those guys, the guys that are on the end of the bench, the guys that think they should be playing, got to keep them happy. So it's not just coaching. It is like, it's like being a psychologist. You know, you gotta talk to them. You got to get into them. You got to, pump them up when they do something good, in practice. There's so much into it because of the depth. But at the same time, that depth, man, is so lovely to have because, like you said, if a guy does something out of character, he gets a little caught up in the game. Let's say, for example, number 3, last year. That he couldn't do that this year. He couldn't do that this year because they're guys that Mario and Beard and all those guys could say, hey, sit down, let these other guys go in. And so that's the beautiful thing about building the depth that they have, that guys can, hopefully play within the scheme, do the things right, because they know that if they don't, there's a penalty you have to pay. There's repercussions for stuff. Before, when you don't have that depth, you kind of hold the coaches hostage. And we've seen that over the last couple of years, those guys that have won, hey, what are you going to do? But now, especially at the wide receiver, the running back, I mean, hell, you got tight ends now. The D-line, the rotation is crazy. These are positions where it's fun to watch guys get in there and still do their thing, guys you never heard of, and you're like, okay, there's another bullet in the chamber. So this is, I haven't been here in so long that it's so refreshing, man. I know. It's a beautiful time right now to be a Hurricane.
But there are a lot of layers to all of this new age of college football, not the least of which is NIL and expectations. And we're going to talk a little bit more about that because of what's going on at UNLV, where the quarterback's leaving the team because they're not meeting his expectations, whatever the heck that means. But I want to talk more about that in a minute. But first, we got to, let's make a little room on our screen here. And we are going to bring in the man affectionately known on Wednesday nights as IC. There he is. Every time I see him, he's got a different baseball hat on. I mean, we got to get this kid to Canes wear, I mean, he had Florida Marlins on earlier today. It's all about you. Yeah. But he likes the hats like that got the raised emblem up there on top and stuff. That's his fashion style. Have you seen anything along those lines with the U over there at the Canes?
Yeah, we got a couple over here, but that's Fort Myers, man. That's Fort Myers style. Sweet Nasty, Deion Sanders, all these people over there. They're a little, I don't know about them, but they got their own style over there. They got their own. Kelvin Harris is a little weird. He's a weirdo. So I'm just saying, you might not be IC, but it's just a Fort Myers thing,
I gotta say true to it. Thank you for having me on again, fellas. Let's talk some ball, baby.
All right, I see. So you were there. We like I said earlier, we kept you away from the strip clubs on Dale Mabry, We kept you working, and you experienced the Miami South Florida game live and in person. What were your parting thoughts as you left the stadium that night?
Well, as I left the stadium, I was tugging on that wheel not to take that turn to Del maybe, but I was like, you know what? I'm gonna go to my hotel. I'm gonna get some sleep. But parting thoughts leaving this Raymond James. I thought it was a great game for the Hurricanes. 50 burger, like LT said, awesome showing. I mean, like you said, Gary, I don't want to see this team struggle. Like that is not what I'm trying to put out there, but I want to see them face a little bit of adversity. And they kind of did to a little bit, but when Cam threw that interception, USF pulled out, every trick play in the book, onside kick, Philly special, Tampa special, whatever you want to call it. Cam Moore throws a pick. He comes back the next drive, 5 for 5, 90 yards, puts Miami back up top. I was like, all right, let's see what they continue doing here. Lance Guidry sets them out the rest of the game. I said, all right, maybe these guys heard what I was saying and just said, hey, Izubee, quit talking about us. Let's just put this 50 ball on these guys. So very excited to see what those guys can do. I sound like a broken record, but still want to see their run game kind of, create some more throughout the game, not just those garbage yards at the end. But you can't be mad when, a true freshman is setting records, running for 91 yards for a touchdown. But all around, another great game. Thought the secondary looked great. Thought Akeem Messidor looked great. Thought Simeon Barrow in the middle of that defensive line looks amazing. I feel like he's not getting talked about enough. And, when Bain comes back, that's just going to be a whole different beast up there. So a lot of good from that game and excited to see what, the Canes can do on Friday against VT.
So, LT, do you find are we nitpicking with this team? I mean, it's like we're looking to find things where they can get better. They're only a third of the way through the season, and they obviously have not peaked. Right. They certainly could. The running game could get better, and there's certainly things defensively that can get better. I kind of find myself nitpicking a little bit just because how well they've played.
Yeah, as I sit and I'm reading some of the comments, our fans, man, I'm wondering were they doing this to me back in the day? I mean, obviously we didn't have internet, but Kevin Williams should be starting. It's crazy to see people say this guy should be starting. This guy, we're undefeated. Okay, whatever way we're playing these guys is working. We got the win. Obviously, as it gets tougher, they will start to figure out how the rotation will be to continue winning. But it's a great luxury. It's as I'm sitting here reading, Horton should be starting over George. I mean, they're playing well. All of them. They're playing pretty good. And then,
even
the
George.
tight ends. The tight ends. Every time a guy comes in, it's like a different one's catching a pass. And it's like, where have they been? Where were they the last 4 or 5 years? We didn't even know we had them on the roster. And now it's like one guy catches, another guy catches, guy throws a hell of a block. I mean, and then on the defensive line, like you talked about, all those guys, it's hard to give credit to everybody because half of them, I don't even know until they get a sack or a big play. Like, dang, where'd he come from? And they're playing well. They're truly playing well. And again, I love the way the schedule has been set up where now we go into a tougher opponent, a little bit tougher than USF. And I think the schedule is going to continue to get tougher and it will bode well for us if we're able to go on to extended play, put it that way.
All right, so there's two hot buttons along the lines of what you're talking about. Okay, there's Sam Brown and Damian Martinez, the two newcomers, the guys that didn't even participate in spring practice, that showed up here in the summertime to be part of this team and clearly have not hit their stride yet. Right. Okay, but both are proven commodities in college football. Damian Martinez was a 6.1 yard attempt guy out at Oregon State. Okay, they brought him here and to be a big part of this team. And Lamar, this is where it gets tricky. And like you said, to me, this might be Mario's biggest job this year because Damian Martinez comes here. And he's expecting to be the dude. Like he had I forget what the exact number was, but wait, I'll tell you. I actually have it here. 1,185 yards last year. Okay, had 9 touchdowns, averaged 6.1 yards a carry at Oregon State. He's coming here to have 1,000-yard season at Miami and showcase himself to the National Football League. And, it has not played out as easy as it was expected to. And, we're a third of the way through the season here, and he's averaging, I think, 4 yards a carry. So, there's a lot of different layers to that, LT, and we're seeing a little bit, in a certain way because of NIL coming into play at UNLV today, with their quarterback. His name's Matthew Shuka, and I think it's Shuka. Yeah,
and
Sluka.
USC just had a player do the same thing like 5 minutes ago.
Oh yeah, like now we're seeing guys like trying to renegotiate their deals in the middle of a season. From a financial that's a financial standpoint. What about from a playing time standpoint? Okay. What about the guys that came to to universities, and it's not just Miami. There's many others out there that came with the expectation of
being the man,
performing at a certain level and getting a certain number of reps. Well, now, I mean, you can't make the argument. And I mean, I know Damian Martinez is a good player, and he's going to have his turn without question, Lamar. We've already seen Shannon Dawson the last 2 weeks. I mean, he's increasing his reps. He had more carries than anybody in the game the other night, and he also was featured more in the Ball State game. Shannon's trying to get him going. But, the thing I'm getting at is how big of a factor do you think that element of it is for the players that, came to schools through the portal with an expectation and maybe found it to be a little bit more competitive than they expected?
Well, again, when I would think that when you're bringing these guys in, obviously you're saying we're a little not, I don't want to say good, but we need you, okay? And so they're coming here under the expectation that they're needed. Well, they didn't know that guys were here that are like, hey, I've been waiting my chance and I'm going to turn it up. And that's happened. I mean, you look at the wide receiver position. When Horton had on number 16, I didn't know what he was going. I didn't know if he was going to be good or not. I'm like, who is this big kid? But he put on that number 2, and he's turned into another person. And you look at, he knew Fletcher was here, but he didn't know Lyles was coming. I mean, Lyles. I mean, look, and AJ. I mean, this is, it's a good thing. It is truly a good thing. And I like the fact that they have so many running backs, because what that does, it gives you a change of pace. And I could tell you this, if Martinez is in there in the beginning, he's a grind out runner. He's going to pick his hole. He's going to, when he gets about 3-4 yards, he's going to lean forward and punish somebody. Okay? Punish. Then you bring in Mark Fletcher. He's doing the same thing, okay? Then you bring in these smaller, faster guys, and it's a change of pace. Now, you figure out what's the best scenario for the second half. Guys are going to make business decisions. In the fourth quarter, you're getting blown out. Who wants to tackle Martinez? Who wants to tackle Fletcher? And when they mess around and say, okay, I'm just going to stay back, then they get run by Lyles and AJ. So it is a good mix of running backs that they have. You have to keep them happy, obviously. But if he sells it as it's a long season, that is the way to go. Because I think in every game, there's going to be a guy that's going to be needed. Might need a fast guy. You might need a power guy. And you got 2 of them on each side. So it's going to be a good thing. But you got to keep them happy, like you said.
Yeah, well, when they went and got Martinez, Fletcher's coming off injury. You don't know what's going to happen there. Lyle, like you said, was a true freshman. Allen was, I mean, he played well at times last year, but nothing like the level that he's playing now. So you're thinking you need Damian Martinez, and they're going to need Damian Martinez at points this year. I mean, every game's not going to keep being like a video game here. Like, you're going to have games where you're going to be damn happy you got those 2 backs that are tough as nails that can grind out the yards on the interior. When you got teams with more speed that are going to take away your perimeter running game, and you're going to be happy. You're going to have to be happy with 4 yards on first down, and they got 2 guys that can get that. But I'm going to ask you this: you're a young guy. You know, the millennials of today live in an instant gratification world. They're not always looking at the big picture. How and it's not just Miami, but how do these teams stay together for 4 months with all these different elements coming into play, whether it's the money at UNLV or, the number of reps for the running backs at Miami or the catches for the receivers, or, how does it all stay together?
I think this goes back to just the type of guy you're recruiting. Honestly, in the recruiting process, when you're evaluating these guys, obviously you want talented football players on the field, but when a kid takes off the chin strap, he takes off the helmet, who is he underneath those pads? You see a kid that's always oh, I want the ball, or you see him not get the ball, he's throwing his hands up, and just little things like that. And I feel like you said, like in this day and age, a lot of guys me instead of we, or I start to feel like I'm speaking French, saying we.
Yeah, I was about to say you speaking French, no?
But no, like I said, it goes back to the guys recruiting, and then kind of the perfect example. I spoke with Clinton Portis' son, Camden Portis, the other day, and he was just talking about him being recruited by Miami and how they're telling him to come in and compete with some dogs and get better. And I was like, hey, listen, obviously Miami's recruiting at a high level right now. Just what are your thoughts? He's like, man, I do not care if I have to come in and wait my turn. I just know at the end of the day, it's going to be my turn. And hearing that from a kid that's a junior in high school that has offers from programs across the country, that's just the type of guy you want to recruit. Obviously, he has ties to the program. His dad is Clinton Portis, but just finding those guys like that say, hey, listen, I want to come in, I want to work. I don't want to be a big fish. He literally said, I don't want to be a big fish in a small pond. I want to go somewhere where other kids around me are working, and I don't care waiting my turn. I feel like those are the type of kids you have to bring in. Even, they have to know, hey, you're going to be working with some talented guys. Your day is not going to be the first day you step foot on campus. You're going to have to earn these reps. So I feel like it just comes down to which guys you're bringing the program. And also in the portal, like you said, with the UNLV quarterback, obviously that's a bit of a different situation if they're not paying the money that they guaranteed him. But the guy at USC, Bear Alexander, this is his second time transferring. He came in from Georgia. Early this spring, he wanted to leave because NIL things. And then now during the season, he's redshirted and leaving. I don't know the guy personally. I don't know any of his story, but that's, I feel like, not the type of guy you want that's consistently, saying, hey, I want more money, or hey, this isn't right for me. I'm just jumping ship right when things go south. So I just think it goes back to the end of the day of kind of that base that, hey, who are you as a person outside of football when it comes to building a roster?
And Gary, I can tell you this, you think about their receivers, okay? Not all of them weren't 4, 5 stars. Mm-hmm. These guys developed. Now you change your focus, and now you're trying to bring in 5-star guys. That could be, that's what scares me, because these guys that you have, I don't know if any of them were 5-star guys, but now you're going after 5-star guys, and do you continue to go after guys you see that can play and want to be there? Yes. Sometimes those 5-star guys, as great as they look, it can mess up your chemistry of hard workers, or you bring them in and maybe they might even work harder. I don't know, but your recruiting changes. I mean, you think about this. Beard right now, the Hurricanes have one of the top receiving corps in the country, right? So they're going to be recruiting the top guys in the country.
Yes.
Okay. They're going to recruit the top guys in the country. Now, how does that work? Because if you bring in the wrong guy, he's going to be just like the guy you mentioned from USC. He's going to be like, hey, man, this ain't what I bargained for. I'm out. Or I'm causing dissension on. He's a locker room lawyer. He's messing it up. And like Santino said, high character team first. You got to be able to figure it out and bring in guys that want to be here and want to be for, at least a couple years and cut their teeth, because the depth is going to be there, and you got to get your chance. When you get your chance, you got to make it happen.
Well, how about when the 5-star ends up being a 3-star? I don't want to, I'm not singling him out. Let me say this right now. I'm not singling him out, but he's a great example. Samson Okinola, the offensive lineman, 5-star coming out of high school. Now he's in his second year. He's starting to get some playing time. He's not really ready to be a starting offensive lineman yet here in year 2. Well, when he was being recruited, LT, I mean, he's supposed to have a pancake restaurant by now. Like they were going to have a lot. They were going to create a pancake mix for him, and he was supposed to be serving pancakes to all of South Florida by this point in his career through NIL deals with John Ruiz at this point of the deal. So like there's just so many examples and layers to this. But the one thing I'll say is Mario loves competition above anything else. Okay. And it doesn't matter what star ranking you had come out of high school. He wants to put you in competition with the best players that he can find anywhere, anytime, any place. And he's doing that, particularly at receiver and running back this year, without question. And, IC will back me up on this. We were hearing a lot of chatter, I'd say mid to late summer and then early fall, that Isaiah Horton was not very happy that they went out and got Sam Brown. And, I was even hearing so much as that, that he was going to be out of here at some point and go to Oklahoma. That he was that upset. But to his credit, he didn't do that. He went to work, LT. And, he, like you said, he went from the kid that you didn't even notice last year in the number 16 jersey to putting on number 2 and becoming Superman. To the point where, all the fans are arguing that he's the best receiver on the team now. And they don't give a damn about Sam Brown not meeting his expectations or whatever, or Jacoby George, his ups and downs or whatever. They're done with all that. They want to see Horton on the field every single play.
I tell you, man, I gotta be honest. He did something on Saturday that, I was like, whoa, there was when I was in college, when guys were on the sideline, like the Brian Blades or the Michael Irvins or the Eddie Browns, even Nat Moore, I asked them questions because these are guys that have been there, who've done it and done it at the high level. I asked them questions. I literally asked questions. When Clifton Abraham playing that game against Florida State, I asked Nat Moore a couple of questions about the guy. He was strong. He was getting up under me. What should I do? Him and Eddie Brown, they gave me some pointers, went out there and scored that game-winning touchdown. How about Isaiah Horton? I'm standing on the side. I was outside the box watching the game. All of a sudden, he tapped me on the shoulder and said, hey, guy jumps outside. What do I do? And I told him what to do. I said, hey, you rip, you get back outside and stay away from the safety, keep him on your back. You're a big guy. He can't outrun you. And he listened. These are guys asking for questions. Restrepo, he will always ask questions. But it's getting back to the old days where these kids or, some of these guys are like, hey, I just want to be the best I can be. I want to help this team. And it's very refreshing to see because we've been there for years where, guys are just on their own page. You watch them at practice. They ain't staying after practice. They don't really care. We're not winning all the games. And so, they're holding the coaches hostage, but this team is different right now. And I give credit to Mario and his staff for the work they've done, not just on the practice field, but being able to talk to these kids and keep them with the right frame of mind, because it's a long season. And now that money's involved, we see what's happening with other programs. Guys are going to be upset. And, they've done a good job so far.
All right. So sometimes you just need a break. You need a breakthrough moment. Okay. Yeah. Sam Brown gets that. Yes. In the other night with that long touchdown catch, unbelievable pass by Cam Ward. I thought just was really, really, really special. But goes for 76 yards, and now he's had his breakthrough. Okay, I see. What do you like? What does that mean to a young guy? Like, he was struggling a little bit. I mean, he was not making the mark that he wanted to make. Now, boom, he goes for 76. I think that play is going to turn his entire season around.
Yeah, I feel like sometimes those little things are overlooked like that. And, when I used to play sports in high school, obviously not at, high D1 levels like that. But, if I was in a slump, the quickest thing that would get me out of a slump is a big play or scoring a goal or something like that, just to get that confidence back, just to visualize like, hey, I can actually do this. Obviously, we've seen him have his little struggles of dropping a pass here and there, but just getting yourself back in that groove, hitting a big time touchdown like that on the road in front of a hostile environment, that just gives confidence to yourself, and that gives confidence to your quarterback to count on you. Obviously, Sam, like I said, had his little struggles here and there, nothing crazy, but that gives Cam's confidence. Hey, I can go to this guy in a deep ball. Or, hey, this is a guy I can trust. I'm not going to think twice before firing a ball off to him. So I feel like that is huge, and that's something that gets overlooked. And I was super happy to see Sam Brown kind of get that big touchdown. And I feel like that when he went to the sideline, everybody cheering him up, everybody clapping up for him. That's absolutely huge for him. And I feel like he can continue to build off of that big touchdown and continue to make big plays like that. And, like we said, with Damian Martinez and all these other guys, right now they may not be, doing all that we expected, but at some point during the season, God forbid something happens to, one of the wide receivers or one of the running backs, these guys are going to be thrust in that role, say, hey, you have to do this. There's no one, behind you right now. It's your time to go. So getting that touchdown for Sam Brown, I think that meant the world to him and the whole team.
I actually saw him smile. And I ain't seen that since the whole time I've known the kid, but he smiled. So, I mean, hopefully, he looked good today at practice, good spirits. They're doing a good job, man. I don't mind going down there. It's just a different environment that it has been over the years. Mario is making sure he keeps that foot on their neck. It's just they're in tune. So, as long as this continues to happen and they continue to say we're going to get better, we could have a great year this year.
All right, I see you've looked a little bit at Virginia Tech. Actually, you've looked a lot at Virginia Tech the last few days, and now the next challenge arrives on Friday night, and everyone seems to believe this is the best team that Miami's played this year, even though they've had their ups and downs. Probably, I mean, when Vegas confirms it, you're probably thinking along the right wavelength. Tell us a little bit about what you foresee taking place at Hard Rock Stadium on Friday.
Yeah, I think obviously I think Miami's going to come out with a victory in this one, but I kind of want to take it back a little bit. During the offseason and, leading up to the regular season before, a snap was played, Virginia Tech was a team that, I spoke with some people on staff that said, hey, this is a team that we've got to watch out for this year. They returned almost their entire team, I think 21 or 20, 22 starters from last year. Last year, they started off the year kind of slow, and then they inserted Kyron Jones, I think 3 or 4 games in, and they finished the season hot. So coming into the season, I thought this was going to be a ranked matchup. Virginia Tech was going to be 4-0, all this stuff. But this year, it's kind of the same thing. They started off a little bit slow. I was watching some of their press conferences with their players. They're saying, hey, it's kind of similar to last year. Last year, we started off 1-3, kind of caught wind. The tail end of the year kind of picked up. I'm not saying that same exact thing is going to happen. We're just watching the team. It's like the game that they're losing to Virginia or to Rutgers. They lose by 1. They have a freak, safety where Kyron Jones slips and throws the ball at the back of the end zone. That's 2 points right there. That Virginia Tech game could have gone that way either. Or I'm not saying like, oh, this is a team that, is going to give Miami the biggest test of the year, but this isn't a team. I feel like they're better than that 2-2 record. I think at least they should be 3-1. Kyron Jones, 20 touchdowns, 3 interceptions last year, almost threw for 3,000 passing yards last year, almost rushed for 1,000. He's a very good quarterback. He trains, like we all know, with Cam Ward and that QB coach that also trains Shedeur Sanders. So he's going against or competing with 2 of the best quarterbacks in college football. So he can make plays. They have a good defensive line. That number, I forgot his number.
They have Peoples, and I think it's the other guy's name is. Let me look at my notes. Ryland.
Yep. He leads the nation in sacks, and he kind of he's lined up on both sides, of the defensive line, and obviously against Francis Mount, I'm not picking any defender over him, but with Markel Bell, I think that's going to be a real test if he's lined up over there, and you have the guy that's leading the nation in sacks, just charging full on you. Obviously, he's looked better and better, throughout his 2 or 3 games starting, but I feel like that's going to be thing that, all right, this is a matchup I'm really, really looking forward to. In the secondary, they're not bad at all. They have, like I said, a lot of veteran guys. Caleb Spencer, for people out there, the former Miami Hurricanes, playing a good amount for them too. So there's, little things. Obviously, Cam Ward's cousins, Kyron Jones, Caleb Spencer is coming back to his own stopping ground. That team, a lot of those players were on that team that Miami went to Virginia Tech and beat with that Jake Garcia game. Or was that Virginia or Virginia Tech? I think, yeah, I'm getting too old, but that team has a lot of guys that bring back experience, and I think that's invaluable in college football. Guys that have been through it and things like that. So I'm excited to see, what happens during this game. I'm not writing Virginia Tech off at all. I'm not writing any team in the ACC off at all. But I'm excited to see if Miami can, continue to handle business against competition at a higher level.
So let me ask you this question: 18.5 spread. I've been reading. Some guys are saying take it all day. Some guys are saying, and it's almost like they're expecting Virginia Tech to wake up, because again, like you said, they were the team. When I looked at the schedule, I said this is going to be a tough test early in the season because they brought back all those players, right? But and you look at Miami adding all these new players, but Miami has gelled better this year. Then again, they start off the 2 games they lost, they got behind. And once they got behind, they just couldn't catch up, And so they've started slow. But this team, I'm looking at that 18.5. I'm not a betting man, but we've covered every game this year.
It's now 19.5, and even at the Hard Rock, it's 20.
Wow.
Yeah.
So that means. So what does that mean, Gary? That means that
people are betting Miami. The money's continuing to flow on Miami.
Okay. I mean, it's but some people are. I've watched some stuff on the internet. Some people are a little afraid because they feel like at some point Virginia Tech is going to wake up, and their quarterback play has been inconsistent. I mean, he makes a great throw, the guy drops the ball. He makes a bad throw, the guy's wide open. So it's been very inconsistent. They've given up sacks. They can't. Their right tackle, I don't even know his name, but he has a bullseye on him because he's not that good. And I'm sure we'll see number 9 on him. And I wish Bain could come off. We'll save Bain, but those guys are going to be licking their chops at their offensive line. They're just not playing well this year as far as they just get behind, and Rutgers just ran it down the throat and threw the ball. I mean, it hadn't been well. So I think what people are thinking is that at some point they're going to wake up and be the team and give us a good game. So, I mean, but we've covered all year long. So I'm not a betting man, and I don't know what to tell y'all that's out there that's betting. Leave it in the comments. Let me know what you're thinking. The 20 points is.
I think it's a good week to work on the running game.
Yeah,
I think this is a good week for Damian Martinez, and I'm expecting this to be his bust out moment. But it's funny, going along the lines of what we were talking about earlier. Swag the Great is yelling, Jordan Lyle's better than Martinez. Stop it, Gary. I say stop it, Swag the Great.
Yeah.
Okay, stop it. Jordan Lyle is a true freshman just coming into college football. Martinez is proven over multiple seasons to be 1,000-yard rusher who averages 6 yards a carry. You're going to love the fact that you got his toughness, and it might come into play as early as this Friday night, Lamar. I think this is a great game to work on the running game.
Yeah, I truly believe that Martinez probably will have a good day this Friday because they once we get that running game going, then it's going to open up the pass, and now those pass rushers, they've been so worried about the run game. They're trying to stop the run, making sure they're in their lanes, and all of a sudden we're hitting them on big time play action passes. So again, I think they have 1 or 2 good DBs. We got 4 guys, 4 receivers, a tight end, running backs that catch the ball out the backfield, quarterback that can move around the pocket. It could be some big plays happening in the game, and that's where Virginia Tech has been getting killed all year. The play action passes.
Yeah, no doubt. Lamar, we've been somewhat one-dimensional on offense. And I'm talking about maybe getting the running game going. But how important, like when you have a guy like Cam Ward who's playing as well as he's playing, and let's say he's the top guy right now for the Heisman. He's going to want to keep that going, and the coaches are going to want to keep that going too. I mean, if you can have the Heisman Trophy winner on your team, that's a huge thing for your program looking forward. So, how important do you think it is to be balanced?
Well, it's very important to have balance. I think right now they're like 55, 45 or something like that as far as pass run. I think they want to get it a little bit more balanced. the problem is it goes way back to, I always tell people about the Heisman Trophy. When you give the Heisman Trophy out before the national championship game, if the guy wins it and he's in the national championship game, you got to show his worth, right? He has to throw the ball, and the other team knows it. You got to say why this guy wins. He's not going to be the Heisman Trophy when they're handing it off, correct? And so this is it's always been a weird dynamic with this Heisman Trophy thing, because you're trying to accentuate, and show off what he can do, but at the same time you got to get wins, because a loss hurts you more than anything, So it's just one of those weird scenarios where you want to see him hand the ball off, you want us to have a running game, but you also want to see him get some stats too. But on the flip side of that, if you go undefeated and you win a national championship, it helps also. So if the running game is working, and let's say he takes a couple games off where we're running the ball effectively, I think as long as we're winning the games and he's not, throwing interceptions, he still can win it by handing it off. I really believe as long as we're winning and we're moving the ball and we're still putting up points, I think he can.
His accuracy, Lamar, like every time a receiver turns for the football, it seems like it's in the right spot, and he just has a knack for threading the ball through the holes and getting it to the right place for the receivers.
What it's showing to me is that he's in full command of this offense, as far as he knows where those guys are. He knows exactly where they're supposed to be. And to watch him turn at the last second and fire one to the back, or fire one to a guy that's standing in the flat all by himself, that means he knows he's looking over that defense. And when he gets flushed to one side, he already knows, because that's what, if you think back, that's what we've been kind of missing. Because remember, the last quarterback, Tyler Van Dyke, he could not go 1, 2, 3. If one wasn't there, he was screwed. So to see a guy being that much in command of knowing the offense and knowing exactly where guys are going to be, and that's also knowing the defense. See, when you can read a defense and you get to play in your head, they already know what guy's going to be open. If you don't know defenses, then it's hard. You're late on your throws. You're wishing and praying the guy gets open. But when a guy's in control and he knows the defense and he's telling you where the secondary, where, hey, you should be over there. That disguise ain't working. That means he's in full control and he knows exactly what's going on that field. And that's what you want. And that's what makes Shannon Dawson's job easier, having a quarterback that's in full command. I see where one of the I want to say callers, but one of the guys asked about the depth at quarterback. I mean,
yeah,
I like Emory Williams. The guy is nice, okay. And we've seen Poppelsberger. We've seen him come in a couple of times. He's gotten some play. He's done a decent job. I think we're good with that. That number 2 quarterback is pretty much solidified. We're just kind of holding him back, seeing if I think they have a plan. Obviously, Mario, they have a plan on how they want to play him. Obviously, but I think he's a good, solid guy that, unlike the other team down here, I'm not going to say the Mullets, we have a plan. I mean,
yeah.
If anything happens and he has to go out the game, bring Emory in, and he will do a good job. I like him. I like what I see. I listen to those guys on the sideline, and they're in full control. I mean, they know the offense. I hear him talking about who he's probably going to throw it out here to this guy. He's probably going to throw it. He needs to throw it to this guy. So it's they're in full control. Let's see what we say. So Gary.
So Jason here's bringing up a good point that I was going to ask. So Cam Ward is having a phenomenal season. He's talked college football, in the Heisman race, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Right.
There's going to be other quarterbacks, LT, that are going to take note of this. Okay. And there's going to be guys that want to come to Miami and do what Cam Ward did after this season. Now, I'm not saying that the guy at South Florida, for example, is Cam Ward, because he's not. But he's the kind of candidate for the transfer portal. He's at South Florida, mid-level program. He's excelling there. He might be ready for something better at some point. A guy like that would probably want to come to Miami, and there'll be others. I don't have obviously a study of every quarterback in college football, but how do you handle that? And we got a few months before we have to worry about it. But I'm a big Emory Williams fan. Okay, I have no problem rolling with Emory Williams. I love the kid. He's such a cool kid, right? I see. Yeah, we talk about it all the time. We're big Emory Williams believers at CaneSport. Let's put it that way. But he has minimal experience. And it's going to be a big decision for the coaches going into next season, where you're looking to build off what. And we don't know where the season's going to end yet, but no matter what, you're going to want to build off it. They're going to have a tough decision to make if quarterbacks want to come. And you got Reese and you got Emory here, and Reese is going to be antsy because he came here to be the guy. And he, to his credit, he stayed. He's getting paid to stay, but he stayed. He didn't bail when they went and got Cam Ward. But you're going to have a lot of stuff going on at quarterback as this year comes to a close.
Well, obviously, I'm not the head coach. That's Mario's decision on that, and the coordinator. But I think they feel like they're going to be in pretty good hands with Emory. To bring in a good quality backup, someone similar to Emory that he can, continue to learn and get better. I mean, you might be able to bring in a younger guy. Not too many older guys are going to come because they see that Emory's here. And what year will Emory be?
Well, he'll have 3 to play. He'll be a redshirt sophomore.
So you might get some younger guys that are pretty good, and we can home in on them and maybe have them for a year or two, and then, who knows, if Emory does well, then they might do the same thing. Say, oh, well, it's my turn. See, the great scenario is like what you got going on in Texas, where yours is there, and then you bring in Manning. I mean, he just say, I'm just waiting my turn.
Yeah, I give him credit for waiting his turn because that guy can flat play.
But then again, when your people got money, you can wait. That's the problem. When your people got money, you can wait around. He ain't in no rush. He got money. Hell, his people got money, so he can chill out. This is just bonus money. And that's the kind of scenario you want, where a good, solid backup or a guy that should be starting at 90% of the programs in the country is your backup. That's a great problem to have. And I feel like Emory is our guy that could be starting at, at least 60 or 70% of every program in the country. So we're in a good situation for now. And like you said, we'll be talking about this as the year goes on, and especially at the end, because it's going to be interesting to see what happens.
All right, let's give the defense a little equal time here. We've been talking so much offense, but defense, they stepped up, man. Like that shutout in the second half was pretty damn impressive.
Yeah, go ahead, RC.
Go ahead, IC. What do you think of the defense?
I think it all starts up front, honestly. I mean, like I said during the summer, the question marks with that secondary, but I feel like if you don't have time to throw the ball, then that secondary can really eat. I know a lot of people said back in the day with Miami, they had so much success on defense because that D-line with guys like Vince Wilfork were just eating up, offensive linemen, getting back to the quarterback, Warren Sapp, guys like that. So I feel like what Coach Cristobal has done with his offense, you build, inside out, you build in the trenches, you build that offensive line, you build that defensive line, I think everything else, will fall in place. And, we talk about him, a decent amount, but I just can't, talk about Mish Powell enough, just how big he's been for that defense. Coach Gizry, we know his defense is, safety driven, and what better guy to bring in than Mish Powell? Was at Washington, played in a national championship, has one more year of eligibility. You bring him in and pair him with a guy like Jaden Harris that, played a little bit last year, but not, to the point where we said, hey, this is our guy at safety. We're locking him at safety. I feel like that duo is not getting talked about enough. he had that, Mishpa had that big interception, was going crazy on the sideline, doing all those dances, all that stuff like that. That was fun to see. And then, just the linebackers, Kiko Mauano, a guy that obviously we know a lot about him, but I feel like he doesn't get talked about enough across the country. He is, I think, one of the most sound linebackers. Every time you look up, he's coming up. You see that number one coming up from the pile. So I feel like that defense is, done more than enough. Another great year stopping the run. Last year, I think they were top 10 or top 11 after that Rutgers game kind of messed things up. But I'm super, super pleased with this defense. Like I said, I'm not trying to say I want to see them get tested and, a team put up 40 against them, but I really do want to see, how they compete with a high-level offense that's really, really good at attack them, push the ball downfield. Because I feel like we haven't really seen that. In the Florida game, their passing game struggled. USF's not a real big passing team. I kind of want to see how they handle a team that's going to say, hey, we got guys on the outside. Let's put them against your guys and see who wins at the end of the day. But been very pleased with that defense overall.
I can tell you this, Gary. I can tell you this. Yeah. I know a guy that had to get in one of those hyperbaric chambers probably after the game was Porter Jr. because he had a tough task, man. He was chasing that little guy around the whole game, and I mean, even the little guy tapped out 38. He said, "Oh man, I got to go to the sideline." I mean, that was a tough assignment, and you could say, "Oh, the guy's not fast," but he was very crafty, and they ran plays where, and to the person that really doesn't know football, they say, "Man, he caught a bunch of passes on him." Man, he had to run through a bunch of layers. They had blockers for those screen passes, and they were banging people out there. I mean, he did a solid job for what, the guy caught a couple passes. I mean, that's what happens when they feature this guy. He's not the fastest guy. He looks like Rudy out there, but man, he is I watched him the whole time, and he's very crafty. They had some good stuff set up for him. And they made sure that they got the ball out quick. And, the quarterback didn't have to worry about his, because he wasn't that consistent either. He's kind of like the guy we're about to face. But they threw a lot of quick passes, and you got to give Daryl Porter and that secondary credit for what they were able to do, because they also had some guys out there that were very fast. And what they were able to do, a lot of deep balls, they were able to stay with those guys, make plays. And, they played a good, solid game in that secondary. Somebody could say, oh, well, the guy caught a lot of passes. Well, that's what he's going to do, because anytime you're throwing the ball to a guy like 15, 20 times, he's going to catch a bunch of them, especially when they're behind the line of scrimmage.
Yeah, and especially in a well-designed offense like what South Florida runs. I don't know how great of a head coach he is, but he's a hell of an offensive coordinator, which is why he became a head coach in the first place. But I think IC nailed it when he mentioned Mish Powell. I had a chance to talk to some NFL people in the last week, and they're nuts about Mish Powell. Like he's like really solidifying himself as a guy that's going to play in the National Football League. Just always is doing the right thing. I mean, like, we made a big deal a year ago about Cam Kinchens and James Williams as our safeties. I'll go out on the limb. I think our safeties this year are better than Cam Kinchens and James Williams. They're much more solid and steady. Cam used to gamble and make a big play here or there, but
Gary, you got to understand that was hard for Cam. When your name is up in the rafters at the school as an All-American, and you got to live up to it, he gambled because he was trying. And now he's just playing his game. That was the Cam Kitchens that we see on Sundays now, that from the year before. But last year he was just trying to do too much because his name is up in. That's a lot of pressure, man. That's a lot of pressure.
Crazy. I agree. That was crazy. And then the other guy that they are talking to me a lot about was Mesidor, and Mesidor is a guy that we're not even like thinking about. He's been forced to go inside and do all the dirty work, and it was Simeon Barrow that was popping, and to the naked eye at South Florida. But the scouts say Mesidor has been so disruptive on the inside that he is a big part of the reason why those guys on the outside, particularly Barron, are thriving the way they are. So he's helping himself. I still think that he will benefit from coming back for one more year. That's me personally, but we'll see what happens there.
guess it
but
probably depends on our wallets.
yeah, well, yeah, there's going to be a lot of decisions that have to be made in that regard at the end of the year. No doubt about it. But those guys are really helping themselves. Then the other guy on the other side of the ball is Arroyo, and it's not that he's catching 100 balls. He's not. But it's the way he's running around out there and the skill set that he's showing that they're translating to the next level. And, they are very excited about Arroyo. Obviously, Cam Ward is being talked about now as a potential top 10 pick in the NFL draft after coming to Miami because he couldn't get past the 4th or 5th round.
That's right.
It's pretty amazing. But like these guys are all benefiting from the quality of this team this year, and that's why I hope they stay together, because the guys that aren't benefiting yet, I think, will benefit, Lamar.
Yeah, I mean, there's some guys that are on that roster. Obviously, guys are getting in, but their stock will go high once you give away that money to those guys that are playing now. There's going to be money left, and we got a good thing going. As far as the money. So I'm looking forward to how this is going to all shake down. I mean, this is going to be a great year, an interesting year, especially towards the end when we start talking ACC championship or championship game. And then even if we're talking playoffs, because now you're also talking, how about the money for next year? Who's going to get paid? Who's going to stay? I mean, this is like uncharted water. It's uncharted water for, we've been trying to get back to relevancy and now we get back and we're getting back. And then at the end of the season, we'll be talking about who we're going to lose and who we're going to keep. I mean, it's a little nuts, but I'm enjoying every minute of it.
Yeah. Well, my man Boyo in Hamburg, Hamburg's I've always heard good things about Hamburg. I wonder if he's really in Hamburg, Germany, but, he thinks the NIL deal should be way more performance based, and I got news for you, Boyo. They are, and they're going to be even more so than they've been in the past because, like after the game, Lamar, I'm watching, the guys that are putting up all the money. They come to the games now. They make sure, what if you're putting up all that money, you might as well go to the game and get some pleasure for your cash that you're giving away, right? Well, they're having fun. These guys were like, you could tell how happy they were to see the fruits of their generosity. But these budgets aren't endless, LT. They're just not. I mean, and they have scales. Like Miami has a plan, which to me is phenomenal. And I wouldn't call it I guess it is kind of like a pay scale. Like a starting linebacker is worth X, a backup linebacker is worth Y, a starting quarterback is worth this. We may have to reach a little bit to go get Cam Ward, but next year Emory's not going to be commanding Cam Ward dollars. So now we have that extra money that we had to use in the budget there. Maybe Reese transfers and we free up those funds too. And now we can divert it over here to this defensive line where we got to, pay a couple of these guys, to keep them here and happy. And, it's going to move around year to year. But it's going to be performance based, whether anybody likes it or not, because you can't just pay everybody endless amounts of money.
No. It's like having a GM. You're going to have a GM or a guy in charge of the NIL to be able to fix this puzzle, put it together, keep everybody happy, get guys paid, take away money from guys that shouldn't be paid. I mean, it's going to be a ever moving thing every year, but it's what we're seeing that's playing out at other schools where guys are saying, no more of the times where you're in control, we're in control. If you don't give me the money that you promised me, I'm just going to shut it down. And it's a weird time. I know some of these guys are now saying, I need to get it in writing. I need to get my contract in writing. I need to.
Well, they have them in writing. Yeah.
Yeah. But I'm just saying, if this guy at UNLV didn't get it in writing, then he's screwed. But if he did get it in writing, it's shame on UNLV because
classic bait and switch.
Yeah. Yeah.
We learned that in junior high school, bait and switch tactics.
I think that if I recall, I remember hearing some grumblings about even at Texas A&M, guys weren't getting all their money, and so guys were saying, "I'm out." And as soon as they said, "I'm out," their cars got repossessed. So the school wants to be in control, the kid wants to be in control. It's a different time, man.
I wouldn't be trying that noise with Mario Cristobal. I'll tell you that. That will not work. And Boyo continues by saying that Cam Ward said something interesting in an interview, that he did not see the NIL deal as very, very important, and certainly not setting him up for life. That's what the NFL is for. And listen, he's making $2 million this year, I believe. I think that's the number. Like, I guess that's not setting you up for life, but that sets you up for a lot.
That's a great start, my brother.
Yeah,
I need to hang out with him a little bit more.
I know what IC's thinking right now. He said, "I wish CaneSport could afford to pay me $2 million."
I'd be a Mark Barrier, whatever that shoot was called, every single other day, man. It ran like a hurricane.
But like, look at how much money the Dolphins just gave Tua $50 million a year, like knowing that he has concussion problems
and he's cuckoo for Cocoa Puff now.
I mean, they just throw money away in that league like there's no tomorrow. So yeah, I mean, I guess it's true. I guess it's not the end all to be all when you're in college getting NIL, but
you see what about Callie Kane said? LT, what are your keys? Do you believe we will be a driving force for this team to go 12-0? Depth. I've said it all. Depth, because it's a long season, and the fact that you have guys in certain positions that can come in, give you a different change of pace. And the thing is, it's not a drop-off. See, that's the beautiful part. We got all those tight ends, but I can't tell them apart except when they catch the ball. Like the numbers.
Yeah.
All of them are getting open. They're running. They're getting hit low, and then the running backs. Hell, you don't know. Until they get in there, there's no fall off. It's not a fall. The receivers, there's no fall off right now. I think the most important thing for our drive to 12-0, if that's what it is, how healthy that offensive line stays and how they play, because that is the key to keeping Cam upright and keeping our offense doing what it needs to do. That's my.
There's been some attention on those guys because listen, let's be honest, they have not played to the expectation. I mean, the running game early in games in the first half of games has not been what Mario is looking for, and it's drawn a lot of eyeballs to it in the fan base. But now you got Jalen Rivers coming back. He should be back this week, and I think that's going to help them a lot, LT. I mean, these guys haven't played a lot of football together. I mean, I'm not making an excuse for them, but chemistry on the O-line is a big deal. And, you brought in a new center. You lost Matt Lee, who was a very good center. You lost Javion Cohen. You're trying to work Matt McCoy in, and, Carpenter coming in at center. And Rivers has been out. And, these guys have not played a lot of football together. And at the O-line position, that's a big deal.
That's a very big deal. And, it's one of those things where in the O-line, they got to be able to trust the guy beside them, So I think they're getting better. And I'm hoping this game is a game where they truly gel together and we get that running game going, because it's going to be important. If we can get the running game going this game, it puts pressure on the next team to spend most of their time saying, we got to stop the run. And when you stop the run, now we got to stop the pass, and then we got to stop the quarterback. We got to stop the tight ends. I mean, it goes back to what you said. It's layers to this, even this offense, but it starts with that O-line, man. If they can continue to stay healthy and continue to gel, and we get this running game going, it's going to be beautiful to watch. And I think they're the key to our success or failures this year. That's just my opinion.
Boyo says he thinks that they're saving the running game, saving the running backs, and that the passing game has also been vanilla. Have you seen what they've been doing as vanilla, Lamar?
I can't really say vanilla. I just think that they're just kind of just filling it out. What do you think, IC?
Shannon Dawson kind of pretty much said it. He said simple plays win games, and that's something he's preaching. So if it's not broke, don't fix it. I mean, you got one of the best passing offenses in the country. You got one of the best numbers-wise, best running offense in the country. And I don't think if you don't need to pull out a player or a big third down play, why do it now? If the basics are working, keep running the screw up, keep doing your things. Obviously, I feel like when in due time, when they need to kind of dig deep and do something special, that'll happen. But I don't see what else you can do like crazy to change things up. Really, I think everything's working. The basics are working. Shannon Dawson said it himself. The basics are working. Why would I switch it up and go to different things that just make things more complicated on these guys? Hit the stuff that works and keep going with that. And I have no problem with that, to be honest.
This is a big deal this year. Okay.
Yeah.
Cristoforo Santino points out that Cam sees things and will change the play.
Mm-hmm.
We haven't had a quarterback who the offensive coordinator would be comfortable giving that type of power to for a long time. I mean, I think you got to go back to Dorsey. I mean, I think through the James Coley years, we always had the check with me stuff going on. And I mean, this is a bigger deal than anybody probably really thinks about or realizes. It makes it so tough for the defense to have success, right?
Yeah, I mean, the fact that, again, it goes back to what I said earlier about him being in so much control and knowing what the defense is doing. He's shown, and I watch him in practice, man, he is on top of things. He's pointing guys in the right direction. He's talking to his receivers. He's talking to his backs. I mean, he is in full control of this offense. And again, for offensive coordinator to have that, it has to be I'm sure he can sleep at night very well knowing that Cam is his quarterback and Emery's his backup. I mean, because as a coordinator and as a coach, you want, when you push them out there on that field, you're whatever you taught them, you want them to be able to excel and to do what you taught them, right? Well, when a guy takes that extra step and is giving you feedback as a quarterback, saying, hey, this is what we can do. This is what's open. You see him talking a lot, and that's something we haven't seen in the last couple of years, where the coordinator and the quarterback are talking. Hell, the last quarterback we had, I don't even know if he even talked. I saw him sitting by himself on the sideline. So this was very refreshing that the guy has guys around him. He's going up to guys, telling them what they need to do better. He's walking up and down the sideline. They're coming to him, and it's like night and day. It's night and day. He is the OC playing quarterback. You're right.
Cane for Life wants to direct this question to you, to your attention, Lamar. Obviously, we have to keep winning and see where the season goes, but it has to be a great feeling for Mario that he's ranked ahead of Oregon.
Mario is petty. Oh, by the way, it's his birthday, so I wished him happy birthday. Everybody wished Mario birthday. He said, man, when we get 54, man, things start happening. I go, well, I'm already 54, so he has to feel good about that. I mean, he's watching with one eye. He's looking over there. You can't help it, because he wants to show all those people, not only here but over there, that that he can put together a team, and he's put this team together, and so far everything is going good. So right now, you're right, he is ranked ahead of them, and I'm sure he's happy about it, knowing him.
Man, we've got some great viewers tonight. They're bringing up some great topics over here in the chat. That's why I keep going to them. Andrew Aronson says, if you keep bringing in portal quarterbacks, then no quarterback recruits are going to want to come. I see you talk to these kids all the time, every day, these high school kids, and this question is directed about quarterbacks, but Miami loaded up at a lot of positions in the portal this year, and it's going to be hard to walk away from that, I think. I mean, if you're Mario and you've pulled Simeon Barrow and Tyler Barron out of the portal this year, and Elijah Alston from West Virginia, and you've improved your team enormously through the portal, How are you supposed to ignore the portal the next cycle? Like you're not going to. But does that keep the defensive lineman in high school from coming here? I see.
I think with this question specifically with the quarterbacks, I think that's kind of I don't know. It's with quarterbacks, that recruiting process I think is very, very different from any other position because you see quarterbacks coming off the board a year before. So we're in the 2025 class right now. Everybody already has their quarterback in the 2026 class. So quarterback recruiting is always a year before, and that whole process to me is just like always accelerated 10x compared to everything else. So what I think right now with the Miami situation, because this when he commented this, I was like, okay, this is what I want to talk about. I don't think they take a quarterback in the transfer portal because just how high Shannon Dawson is on Luke Nickel. I think they go on with Emory next year and Luke Nickel sits and waits. Granted, I think that has to do with Shannon Dawson is still here in the next 2 years as well. Because one thing with quarterbacks, they will follow their coordinators wherever they go across country. And Luke has said that. No, he hasn't said that, but that's his thing. He says, hey, Shannon's my guy. Whatever he is doing, I'm doing. His offense coordinator Milton says they're the perfect match, things like that. So me personally, I do think this is true. I feel like if you're continuing to bring in portal guys over the guys you sold this dream, hey, this is going to be your team in 2 years. Hey, you're going to be our guy. And then, right when a shinier diamond comes around, you're like, actually, forget about you. We're going to bring him in. I get that you have to upgrade positions, but I feel like quarterback is such a delicate position where you can't really do that. I feel like with D-line, there's a lot of movement. There's guys coming in and out each play. Quarterback, this is your team. This is, your guy. So I think with quarterback, that's very no-no in my opinion. Every other position, free game, man. If you see a Ferrari and you're driving a Mustang, I'm hopping out that Mustang, hopping in that Ferrari. But quarterback, I think you kind of have to stick with your guys and, not bring in a new quarterback every year. Instead, build off that high school recruit unless you have a situation like Miami was in this past year. Former quarterback gone. You need a guy to come make a big impact. Then you bring in a big quarterback like Cam Ward. But I feel like after this year, Miami should stick to their recruiting guns at that quarterback position. Just go from the high school ranks and build up from there.
I can tell you this. Schools like Oregon, you brought up Oregon. The reason why Mario's keeping an eye on them, that they're still going after our players. They're trying. Dan Lennon is, he's they're and those guys are offering X amount of dollars. If you say the kid's going to get 800, they've already taken up to 900. They're trying to, this recruiting stuff is not going to end, until somebody the kid says, this is where I want to go. I don't care how much money you offer me, because we've seen where kids have gone to teams for the money. You take the defensive end or defensive player that played at Pace a couple years ago. He went to Texas A&M, and that wasn't even his style of defense. Yeah, but he got paid. Yeah. So, he wasn't going to be successful, but he took the money. So this is going to be some crazy stuff. I'm just so excited about this year. I just want to win a championship, whether it's an ACC championship, a state championship. Let's get the state championship out the way first, then an ACC championship, then let's compete for a national. I'm just so happy we're back to being relevant that, for Miami to be back on top or close to the top, I think it makes college football better. I don't know, I can't say we're one of the blue bloods, but we're one of the teams that, people either love or hate us. You know what I mean? So they're going to watch regardless. They want to watch us fail or they want to watch us succeed. So we're not the Michigans, we're not the blue, but we're not the Georgias, we're not those teams, but we're still a team that people want to watch and they want to inquire about what's going on with us.
Well, we keep talking about all this money stuff. We haven't even gotten to this yet. The money to pay key coaches, they're already pretty well paid. Yeah. I will say that. But Shannon Dawson, if he, keeps this offense on this trajectory this year, Lamar, I mean, he might get into the conversation for some, low level head coaching jobs, Division I.
I mean, why? Yeah, I mean, he could. And both coordinators. I mean, even JT. What if Akron says, "Hey, we need you. You went to school here. We want you as our head coach." How does he? I know it's Akron, but still. But
I would like to think he wouldn't do that to himself and his family. I think he's too smart for that.
I mean, you just never know, man. These guys are, if you continue to win and you continue to play well and you continue to have good showings, then it makes everybody more attractive to other teams, other programs. So I mean, that's part of being a top quality program. When Alabama was going through their run, they lost coordinators all the time, correct? And they just reloaded. They just kept reloading. And the guy would come there, the next guy would come and he'd get a head coaching job. Then another guy would come, he'd get a head coaching job. I think, that's what you want. You want your coaching tree, a guy come in and we go on because we're winning. That's, unfortunately that's part of the game, but it also sets Mario up to have good seasons too.
There's this guy in the chat, Omlaws, man. I don't know what I ever did to this guy. He's like taking shots at me every 2 minutes here. Like what is he? Gary didn't like Williams. Which Williams? James Williams? No, I thought James Williams should have been a linebacker. Does that mean I didn't like him? Emory Williams? I just said I love Emory Williams. I don't know which Williams.
Well, when you talk about James Williams, obviously you're right. He should have been a linebacker. Even the coach said it. He said, I talked to him. He said, "Hey, we should have moved the kid to linebacker." I mean, it is what it is. And now, where is he playing now? Is he at linebacker now?
100%.
He ain't at safety. Exactly.
And then he also hates when I start talking about money. Money, Izubee, tell him, please. Money is what it's all about in today's world. It's all about the Benjamins out there in college football.
Yeah, we see it, man. If you don't got that cheddar, you're not playing any big time football right now. I mean, UNLV situation, Bear Bryant situation, and everyone's so open about it too. You talk to recruits, first thing they mention, hey, I'm big on NIL. That's, you're throwing six figures in front of kids that, probably haven't seen that in their life or in their whole entire family. So that's the world of college football we live in now. Some kids are probably making more than their coaches right now. So it's very interesting world that we live in. So that money thing is not going to go anywhere anytime soon.
I mean, I saw one of our viewers say that we should cherry pick all of Florida's and Florida State guys. I don't know if I want those guys. I don't know. I don't know if I want. I mean, I really don't know if I want those guys. I think unless they're showing something really good. I mean, that Wilson kid was pretty good, but do I want him in this program? I don't know. I don't know. It's just, I don't know if anybody's on Florida State roster that I really, they were supposed to have that D line that was supposed to be really good. Not so far, So it's interesting to see some of the questions as far as, and who would you like to add? I think they have their own formula, and I don't know if it involves a lot of Florida and Florida State guys. I really don't. Now, you might be able to take a guy from a team you play. You see something in him. If he does really well, we've seen it happen all the time. You play a lesser team, and there's a guy that's a shining star. You keep in contact with him. I guess that's what they do. And all of a sudden he shows up at your program the next year. I've seen it happen many times. But to take a guy from Florida or Florida State, I don't know if that'll work. I really don't. Now, they might take some guys from us because guys might be unhappy, but I think hopefully our program is in a better place that we won't have to go after any of their guys.
In a kind of obviously backwards way, because he clearly has a little backwards way of thinking. Let's be honest. This our buddy Omlaws, but I want to know, like, who does he think are paying these guys? Like, these are real people. Like, people out here are the ones paying these guys. Like, the money's not just coming out of outer space. I mean, people are making donations. This is real money coming out of people's pockets that are formulating, these budgets in college football. And that's just the way it is now.
And you see speeches from athletic directors and people, trying to get guys to donate money. I mean, they're trying to get guys people and big donors to donate more money. I mean, they want to compete. I mean, we got the best quarterback in the country, one of the best quarterbacks in the country, because we had enough money. And that's just the nature of the game.
100%.
That's just it. Because
and it's being paid by a real human beings.
Yes, I mean we could have been stuck with DJ Ungaloo or whatever his name for 800,000. You know,
boy, that guy. Let me tell you, they are beside themselves in Tallahassee. What a disaster that's been. We're paying him 800,000.
Got him.
I'm told he got himself a house on the outskirts of Tallahassee.
I heard his girlfriend was going to school there already.
I'm sure.
But
like he's not even like ingrained with the team. Like he's off. Like he leaves and just goes off to his house on the outskirts of Tallahassee, from what I understand.
Hey, he's going to East Gaskin. You know, I can tell you that I saw him do a commercial. I don't know how I saw a commercial. He was on. I want to say maybe it was like a Big Goat commercial or something.
The Circle K commercial.
It was a Circle K commercial.
Hey,
I was like, wow. He was talking about his big goat and how he got energized. I'm like, well, shit, it ain't working.
All right, so we've talked about so many things tonight. Cali Kane is actually kind of pulling it all together here.
Mm-hmm.
He wants to know, LT, do you believe that we stack up with the likes of the top 4 teams in the country? Texas, Ohio State, Bama, Georgia. Where's all of this going? Like, you know, we talk about like they are going to get to the end of the year, and if they keep winning, they are going to meet one of these teams pretty early in the playoffs, most likely. So, like, obviously, you're trying to build to being able to compete with them. But what do you think, LT? Like Mario uses the term Miami looking like Miami again.
Those programs are very special. That's the big boys, and you know, as you continue to build on this schedule that we have, I think towards it, you know, you continue to win some games. You go out here, you do what you want to do against Virginia Tech. You establish the run, right? You're building for those teams, and hopefully, by the time at the end of the season, when you go to, you know, the Syracuses and the Louisvilles, those are gonna be tough games, man. You know, these teams have gotten better. You know, the Clemson's still gonna be a tough game. You know, so you build off that, you get yourself better, and you keep believing that you're good because you are good, and then you can play a team like that. But right now, those are some, man. Those are some. Whew, when you say those 4 schools right there, whew, I mean, we right up there, but we not yet. We ain't got them yet. We ain't not there yet. I don't. That's just my opinion.
But let me ask you a question. All right, so Mario really does. He uses that terminology. Miami is starting to look like Miami again, and this year's team, without question, is a huge step forward. There's no doubt about it. LP, take your mind back to the teams you played on. You know, your national championship teams. Like, we're not there yet, but how would those teams have stacked up against these, you know, top teams of today?
Well, you know, when I look back in those times, like, it's hard to kind of put ourselves against those guys because we did play the Texas, we did play the Notre Dame, we did play, you know, we never got to play Ohio State, but we played those teams and it was different then. But as you look at these teams now, man, they got some of the better players, you know, because we went through a time where we were getting the better players, or we were developing the better players, put it that way. And, you know, the Alabama of today is, well, of Nick Saban's era was entirely different. I mean, they had a nice run. You got to give them credit. I know we don't like Bama, but you got to give them credit, man. They had a nice run where I was at Kentucky and I got a chance to coach against them. And I was talking to Mario before the game, and I said, "Dang, there's some big boys over there." I now see what teams, when they looked at us across the field, you just said, "I hope we can just stay close to these guys and hopefully nobody gets hurt." We got to go on and play out the rest of our games. I mean, we're building, and I think that this year and the way the schedule is set up, it will help those building blocks because we're building that foundation to build that house to be able to weather the storm of a team like those big four programs. And I think that if we continue to get better and we play this season and win the ACC championship, I think we'll be on to something. But those programs are very special right now.
Before we move on, though, I kind of want to chip in on this because I just look at the AP poll. I really thought about this. So you look at the AP poll, you look at the first 6 teams, 5 of them out of the SEC. So I feel like they're going to start killing each other as the season goes on.
They start this week.
Yeah, Georgia, Alabama. But I genuinely think, I know I always say I want to see Miami get tested, but I genuinely think Miami can go right now, go toe-to-toe with every team in that top 6 besides Texas and Georgia. Like, I look at Ohio State. I'm not convinced Will Howard is a great, quarterback. Obviously, that team is real good. I think Miami can line up and go toe-to-toe with them. Alabama, I think they can go toe-to-toe with them. Tennessee, for sure. Ole Miss, I think that game might end 100-99 with those 2 offenses. But Miami sitting at 7. I look at the 5 teams ahead or 6 teams ahead of them. There's only 2 teams where I go into that match and be like, yeah, I don't see Miami winning this game. That's just my 2 cents right now. I think as the season goes on, we'll learn more about all these teams in the top 10. But at this moment right now, I think the only 2 teams, Miami, I'm not confident against is Texas and Georgia.
But, you look at the way Texas and Ole Miss, for example, play offense. Like, you get into those kind of games, you're going to love the fact that you got Damian Martinez and Mark Fletcher.
Yeah.
Because you don't want to be getting into shootouts with those guys. Like, that 199 is fun to joke about, but I don't know that this team's built for that, So, I think people just got to look at the big picture and understand this is, like Lamar says, you're stacking chips here, trying to get yourself ready for the end of the year. Let's see. Boyo wants to know, have the Florida universities ever thought of making their own conference or thought of packaging themselves together to sell themselves? Well, I mean, Miami and FSU went into the ACC. I mean, that's about as close to packaging as you're going to get. I don't think you're going to see Florida go to the ACC. I don't think you're going to see Miami and FSU go to the SEC. So
that'd have been a weird conference. We'd have added the Cows in there and the Knight Riders, and hell, Tampa might have brought back their football program. I mean, it would have been an interesting deal. I don't think that they would ever do that. Let's see.
This is a great point. Like, we're sitting here talking about what do you do in the portal with quarterbacks and that sort of thing. Cam Ward is not going to be sitting there available every single year. I don't think there's any doubt, about that.
I tell you this, after that first game and walking out of that stadium and seeing Miami fans almost in tears saying, I can't believe we have a quarterback. I can't believe he's our quarterback. I wanted to cry right along with him because I was walking to my car saying, wow, you're right. That's that he fell right into, I mean, obviously I want to say he fell right into our arms, but we gave him what he wanted, and it was a great choice so far. So I can't do anything. I mean, I think I wear stuff every day now. Ain't no Dolphins, ain't no nothing. I got stuff from Louisville, I got Kentucky, I got all this stuff, but it is all baby. I am all in because this is the excitement we've talked about that we wanted down here, and it's going to be interesting to see. I know it's a Friday night game, but I remember back in the days when we would play those Thursday and Friday nights game, how the Orange Bowl would be packed, So I want to see how our fans come out and support us on that Friday night. Obviously there's a storm that's brewing, but it'll be great to see them pack the house and we have that environment that is unmatched, down here in South Florida.
So the Kelvin Harris cheerleading team is in full force tonight, Lamar. Surprise. Kelvin says we have the best O-line in the country, the best D-line in the country, and the best quarterback in the country. What do you think? Well,
again, this Kelvin Harris guy, he's for the last 10 years, he was saying we were going to be undefeated. And so I finally believe, I'm finally starting to believe the guy. I mean, we have a lot of good stuff. I mean, I'm just anxious to see how this O-line continues to improve, because we need them to. We really need them to for the run game and obviously keeping our quarterback upright. So, Kelvin, you're on to something. And yeah, you threw all those shits on the wall and something finally stuck. Congratulations.
Hey, before we move on to other stuff, this is interesting from K Mills 904. What is this roster? What is this team like, guys, without Cam Ward? If Emory Williams is the quarterback right now.
Yes, I think it's a top 50 or top 20 roster without Cam Ward.
Yeah,
and what is it with Cam Ward? Top 5?
Yes.
Yeah,
because I'm looking at the top.
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead, LT.
You know, you're right. He puts us in a different category. But I believe in Emory, man. I like what I see. I like what I saw last year before he got hurt, and then to see him this year. I mean, the guy is a baller, man. So I would say without Cam, that we're still a top 20 team with Emory running the deal. That's my opinion. You know, that's just my opinion. What do you think, Gary?
Yeah,
I don't want to think alike without Cam. I don't want to think.
I think we would certainly be in the same position we are now. I think at the end of the year, you know, we're going to be happy to have a guy like Cam Ward, who's just a very unique talent, a very special player, almost like a generational type player. And, you know, I think that will give this team a chance against pretty much anybody they play. And, you know, we didn't talk about his play, the play where he went up to the line of scrimmage. It was like, I think 3rd and goal at the 1 yard line. And he walks up to the line of scrimmage and he starts pointing, we're going here. He starts telling the linebackers and the defense where the play is going. He shows them the hole. He puts 2 hands together. He shows them we are going right in here.
Well,
Lamar, I have never seen anything like that. And I've been covering Miami for 4 decades.
He actually did it, and they called timeout. And I don't know if you watched the way he was looking at their head coach, like, come on, man. Come on, man.
That. Yeah.
He literally was doing it, and they called timeout. He was like, what's up, bro? Why would you, like staring at him like, come on, man. And then they come back and they do the same thing. And he's like, we're going right here. It's your job to stop us. And that they actually ran it where he said they were running. I mean, that is, he was asked, I saw where he was asked about, talking and all that other stuff. And he basically was like, hey, man, I'm just out there enjoying the game. It's not, after the end of the game, I'm going to shake their hands and dap them up. It's nothing personal. I'm just enjoying the game with my brothers. And I love that answer, because so many times people try to push it over the edge and say, oh, you just a cocky SOB. Well, you know what? It's okay to be cocky when you know exactly what's going on. And that's where we were back in the days. We were cocky because we practiced hard. We knew we were the better team. If we go out and execute, we're going to kick your butt. And that was because we played against the best. We thought the best every day. And so you can't touch us. And so you say we're cocky, fine, whatever. We just knew we worked hard enough that we should win the game. We should win it. And I think that's where he is.
All right. So Virginia Tech in the house on Friday night. I see, before we let you go here, what parting thoughts on what we have in store for us on Friday night?
Parting thoughts. I'm going to double back to what LT said. If I'm a betting man, which I'm not, only sometimes on the weekends when college football is being played, I'm going on Hard Rock. I'm looking at the spreads. I see whatever Miami's at right now. I'm clicking the spread and I'm hammering it. I think I might be moving it down because Vegas is always playing tricks on you. So I'll move it down to like 18, 17. But I think Miami covers. I think this game is going to be another game where Miami continues to prove, listen, like people say, hey, Miami's not playing anybody. Whoa. Well, Miami's beating the crap out of everybody they play. I think they do that again against Virginia Tech. I think Virginia Tech is a good team. I just don't think right now, I don't want to sound arrogant or, cocky, but I think Miami's, on a different level, playing on a different level than the Hokies right now. You got Cam Ward, who's, the guy right now in college football. You got this defense firing on all cylinders. You got this O-line happy. You got the wide receivers, doing everything they want to do. So I'm excited. I watched the press conference with the Virginia Tech players and coaches, and they looked like they were like, "Oh, it's about to be a long Friday night." But we'll see what happens. You know, football games have to be played. They're not played on paper. You have to line it up. You don't know how this weather's going to be. It might be a slot fest. You have to run the ball the whole entire time. That's one thing I'm thinking about a little bit. If it gets a little slippery, I don't know how Cam Warriors will look in the rain, but take the points. Don't blame me if it doesn't hit. Don't request me. That's my part of the words. I'm going to say Miami 42, Virginia Tech 20. That's my part in words right there, guys.
All right.
I taped the You Bet CaneSport show today with Lee Sterling, Lamar. He's from Paramount Sports. He's our resident handicapper. He says, draw the line at 21. He says, don't go, because I said, Lee, the line's going from 19 and a half to 20. And, he says, don't go past 21. But he expects Miami to do the same. All right, I see. Well, another great week. Let you go get some rest.
The Rock, I see.
Yes, sir.
All right, LT. So let's do a little word association.
All righty.
Like we do every week, and bring this home. Let me start with Sam Brown.
Sam Brown had a great play, 70-some yard reception. It was great to see him make that play. I think it has done the world for his confidence. Just being around him today, he was very upbeat. He's a quiet guy. He's a very quiet guy, but I think that helped him know that he was part of this thing, and that was a big play. And he played well. Obviously they're all playing well at right now. He made some big catches. They all did. So it's going to be a great deal that they all stay healthy and they all contribute. And if we can continue that, it was like, again, when I look at Sam Brown, I think back to when it was myself, Kevin Williams, Horace Copeland, Darrell Spencer, and then you had Chris T. Jones, A.C. Tellison, Jonathan Harris. I mean, these guys, they wanted playing time. So, it's a good thing. Competition is a good thing because it makes your position better. So I think that's going to do that. That catch might have done a world for his confidence, but we'll see on Saturday. We'll see on Friday. I hope it does because it only makes that group stronger if he's.
And his presence has made Horton better.
Yes.
No doubt about it. All right, let's give defense some equal time here. How about OJ Frederick? We haven't said his name tonight.
Well,
been a big
I didn't even realize this, but both of those guys, Lyle and Frederick, were at St. Thomas.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't even realize that. I mean, two freshmen that's getting the opportunity to do some things, and they're standing up. They're doing a great job. I mean, playing well. This is going to be a good game, a test for Frederick. They do throw the ball, and they can throw the ball. They've just been very. He might even get a pick this game. I'm marking it down. He's going to get a pick this game because the quarterback can be erratic at times. He's inconsistent. So there might be because he's done a good job. I mean, coming up, making tackles, in pass coverage. So he's done a great job. I mean, kudos and shout out to St. Thomas.
Yes.
Sure they don't need it, but the fact that those two kids are contributing this year, it says a hell of a lot. I mean, we got some great programs. Chaminade, Central, Northwestern. We got a lot of great programs around here. If I missed out any, I'm sorry. But, we got a lot of American Heritage. You got a lot of great players that are going to get their chance at the University of Miami. And it's a beautiful thing because, again, for a long time, we were losing those players. They were going elsewhere. So it's awesome to see the hometown kids, the South Florida guys, whether they're from Palm Beach on down or even a little higher, the state of Florida, staying in state and helping contribute to what Mario has on board for this University of Miami program.
Losing almost all of them. I mean, Miami was not recruiting well at Heritage or St. Thomas for many, many years. I mean, it was pretty ugly. But you're right. It is a statement on how well those programs are put together. But the thing that's blowing my mind is you're talking about a true freshman who didn't even come to school until the middle of the summer.
Mm-hmm.
He was a late arrival. who has started from pretty much the first day of his freshman year at cornerback and is sitting out there on an island, and you wouldn't even know he's out there. Like, he's not, like, people aren't doing anything against him.
Yeah.
It's amazing. It's one of the most amazing stories of this season that nobody's really talking about yet, because we're talking about so much other stuff. I mean,
they'll talk about when he gets a pick. I think he's gonna get a pick. I'm calling it. He's gonna get a pick.
I mean, like, we've been sitting here tonight for almost 2 hours now talking about all the different things to talk about with this team, and we're just getting OJ Frederick at the end. I mean, it's like there's a lot to talk about with this year's team. But he is, without question, one of the very cool stories. I mean, we talked a lot about this guy, but hey, what would word association be without Cam Ward?
Whew. I mean, just to watch him in practice is, it's amazing too, because, he's really in tune to the players around him. He's in tune to his coaches. I mean, and it has to be, again, as a coach, it has to make you feel good to see it, because you're like, man, he makes your job so much easier. You don't have to worry about certain things, because he's gonna hold guys accountable. Whether it's you run the wrong route or whatever, he's gonna hold you accountable, and that's what you need, man. You need a guy that's in that program, that's a leader, to be able to hold guys accountable, because I think for so many years we haven't been, and it definitely wasn't coming from the top. So you got Mario, you got the coordinators, you got Cam. I mean, and I think there are more leaders on this team than it has been in previous years. So when you hear them talk about their leadership council, it's real. It's really, and they talk, and they make sure they hash things out before decisions are made.
Let's go with Jordan Lyle.
Again, another freshman from St. Thomas. Man, this is it's just great to watch these guys do their work. I didn't realize I was looking up stats, and he's our leading rusher. I mean, that's what they have down. I mean, 233 yards, 3 touchdowns, 29 carries. I mean, and he don't even start. So, I mean, this is like having Steve McGuire, Leonard Conley, Alex Johnson, Martin Patton, Kevin Gibbs. I mean, it's like having all those guys. They're different, but they're all good. And it's
Willis
such
McGahee.
Well, I'm talking about during my time. Those are guys those guys. Now we can talk about the Willis McGahee, Clinton Porters, and all those guys that were all in that room together. Frank Gore. I mean, that's the kind of room it is. It's packed, and they're gonna all fight for their carries. And when they get their carries, it's a beautiful thing to watch, because you're just like, okay, another guy in. Oh, he's gonna show out. Larry Jones, another one. I mean, Mario's done. They've done a great job of putting this roster together so far, and it seems like they all kind of get along, and that's important, because I something you said earlier about DJ Ungadudu or whatever his name is. He goes and he goes out to his place, right? You would think that that's what's been going on with these programs, because see, when we played, we had to know each other because we all were broke, right? So we had to spend time with each other. I think these guys literally spend time with each other. I saw a Instagram live with Horton, Sam Brown, and I think the quarterback was in the back seat. I mean, it's the fact that they're spending time together. I mean, that's what it's about. So it's been a good. I'm very excited about it. Like I said, I even had on a Nike. I even had on a Nike shirt the other day. I mean,
really?
I'm putting it all. Yeah, man. I am down from the drawers to the socks to the shoes to the sweatpants. I mean, this is great.
I don't know if we'll see Miami go back to Nike while Mario's here. I don't think so.
I don't think so either.
I don't know if that'll happen.
I don't think so either.
All right, let's go Mario Cristobal.
Mario, man, it's happy birthday. 54. Great opportunity to establish the run on Friday night. Hopefully the weather stays nice or obviously it's okay right now, but I think
Could
it's
be a
gonna be a
little
good
messy
night.
tomorrow.
Yeah, I think it could be a good night to establish the run and because that's what he wants to do. This might be a good night for that, and then get some play action passes once those guys get up in the box trying to stop that run. Defense, just play the style of football they've been playing this whole year. Obviously, again, USF had a great game plan, but I think the quarterbacks are similar, but I think the offenses are not the same. So it's going to be interesting to see how their O-line is not good at all. So hopefully our pass rush, our defensive guys get to the quarterback and being able to stop the run. But I think Mario will be able to celebrate his birthday this weekend, long weekend, and enjoy it. That's what I'm hoping.
Cal's a little bit better on defense than people realize. I think it would be nice to go out to Cal with a multi-dimensional offense.
Yes.
And I think this is a great opportunity Friday night to work on the running game a little bit. You'll never obviously forget about the passing game, but I would like to see them be a little bit more 50-50 this week and really get that O-line into a groove and get Martinez going and leave with a balanced offense that makes it really hard for Cal, which has, I think, the number 20 defense in the country right now to prepare. I mean, that's a team that went across the country. They lost to Florida State last week and surprised me in doing so. But it's asking a lot when you got to keep crisscrossing the country.
Yeah.
But they did go to Auburn earlier this year and win, which was a big win. All right, LT. So Rideshare wants to know if you're really in the store after hours. So
all right. So here we go. We got Cam Ward. We got blue jerseys in case you want to put some on there, right? They got the jersey. They got the. Oh, it's gonna be pink at the stadium. It's pink. You got your pink shirts. You got pink shirts. Let's see. Look at this. Look at that. You got all kind of good stuff. Oh, this shirt is nice. It's all orange. Let's see. Look at that. Okay. Look at that right there. Let me upside down. Okay. I'm not Vanna White. All right, here we go. Boom. That's nice. That's nice. Oh, and this is the good one right here. The coaches' shirts. There you go. Gray. Look at that. These are sweet right here, right? Boom. Okay.
Very nice.
That's just show you that I am here. I am here, my friend. Look at this. I am here. Look at this. Look at this shirt back here. Now, I don't know about this shirt right here. This is an interesting shirt. We were talking. Look at this. I don't know. I feel like it's a bowling shirt, but it's a Cane shirt. We winning. Hell, you can get a bowling shirt. I mean, this is sweet. So, yes, I am here, my friend. I am here. No green screen here. Now, you can't do that. Gary can't do that, but I can.
Yeah, I can. I mean, I can reach. I got my props here and stuff, but yes, I am absolutely on a green screen and
got my cup. There we go. No green screen here. I am really here after hours.
But he is live in person. Caneswear is at 2655 South University Drive in Davie. Make sure you guys go check them out. Friday afternoon would be a great time. On your way to the game, get yourself some of the latest and greatest Canes gear. Load up on your tailgate stuff. Go to La Spada and get yourself some subs. Since they feed Lamar so well on Wednesday nights, and you won't be sorry. As you can see, they got a little bit of something for everybody at Caneswear. All right, LP, we got to thank all of our viewers tonight. Great comments and questions in the chat. We tried to use as many of them as we could. So great job by you guys watching.
Tell some friends. Tell some friends. Tell some friends.
Tell some friends. Yeah. And we will see everybody at the stadium on Friday night for what promises to be an interesting game against the Virginia Tech team, which should show up somewhat competent.
Yeah.
And I like that.
Friday nights, man. Friday nights. We got to bear down, and I'm going down there. I went down there today, and those guys were in. They were good spirits, and they were still locked in. So that's a good thing. So.
All right. So for Izubee Charles and Lamar Thomas, I'm Gary. We thank you so much for watching. us again this week, and we'll see you guys next week. Have a good night,
Canes.
everybody.
Go Canes.